Hello and welcome to this Creative Commons open source office hours hosted on codebuddies.org. Got a little preview of the desktop today, and the task we'll be working on is part of the Creative Commons redesign. Our code is open source on GitHub, and we have a project for this redesign. It consists of several components, a few layers. The Creative Commons website has both a WordPress and some Django aspects of it. Right now we're working in WordPress parts and looking at a couple of themes and eventually some custom JavaScript for Gutenberg, defining custom Gutenberg components. And this project is organized into submodules basically that contain the individual themes, so the code can be separated out. We're not using a monorepo structure. We've got a list of the tools, the aspects. There's three main branches, and today we're going to be looking at a particular page that lists team members, the Creative Commons organization staff. And I've gone through this team page mock-up. Let's see if I can open the mock-up real quick. I'll need to reopen this. Actually, we've already split it out into issues. Essentially, the team page, we're trying to build as many of these pages directly with the Gutenberg editor. It allows us pretty flexible capabilities with page layout, not just publication. And here's the mock-up. It's essentially a list of the staff with their photograph, name, kind of a tag, or and a little bit of a description for the bio. Most of the pages on the Figma mockups for the upcoming WordPress Creative Commons redesign, we can just build with Gutenberg components, dragging and dropping columns and putting content into columns. This should be dynamically generated based on basically users and a categorization of users. Now, to some extent, we might use Gutenberg to organize the layout of the page, but the individual user profiles should be dynamically populated. And you can see here we have both staff and the board of directors. And these footer and this appeal and header elements with navigation, that should be part of a site-wide widget, not part of the page design necessarily. So this issue is essentially, we were going to test out the capabilities of Gutenberg, and we realized because of the nature of the content, Gutenberg couldn't fulfill the need with direct default widgets. But we determined, based on the brief discussion, that we can create a widget, custom Gutenberg widget, right here. And so we're working in parallel. Shaylee is creating a Hello World widget block. And we're going to list some content, and hopefully that content can be a list of users, a users list. So this is where we've gotten it. So we're working in parallel. Shaylee's writing the JavaScript, and we're going to try to get a query of users. And now I need to figure out how the users are categorized so that we can get separate lists for staff and board. So briefly, I'll go ahead and go over those findings so far. Essentially, on our WordPress website, we have default WordPress users. And in the users submenu, we've added a groups section and a guest author section apparently. These are custom, so I have to determine how we've added those. I'm not super familiar with WordPress, so I'm learning everything as I go. When you click on the groups link, it displays a list of the users groups, and in the URL bar, this is actually a taxonomy, a custom taxonomy. So I'll need to determine how and where in the code we have defined this custom taxonomy, as well as the menu item. This is what I'm going to be working on today. And then on the user profile page, there's another form widget that displays a list of groups, so I need to find the related code for that as well. And I haven't found the exact lines of code. I'm not even sure exactly where to find this active WordPress theme. I believe it's here, the CCWP theme. It's 6 years old, but I'll have to dig into that in a minute. So yes, just again, this, when you click on the groups page, you're taken to a taxonomy page, listing, which doesn't exist in our default theme, which I've got running locally, nor do the menu entry items. So that was just to verify that there is some custom code involved here. I need to track it down. So probably this session is going to be mainly exploring code and trying to find the location and possibly running that code so that I can support Shaylee's work as Shaylee goes into querying the user list. Right now, Shaylee's returning just a static message, kind of like a hello world, which was expected. That's a good way of working small changes, small steps towards a bigger goal. And we're going to converge our work. Okay, so now we've seen a mock-up, we get the general idea. I'm going to go ahead and close this tab. Now the CCWP theme, it doesn't seem to be much in the root directory. And what I can do, I guess, is look at the current creativecommons.org and see if there's some telltale indicator. This is something different, continues to Creative Commons. All right, not sure what this is. Markup.txt, kind of strange. Why not just use an HTML file? All right, or HTML extension. So it looks like, and again, I'm not familiar with much about WordPress development, APIs, theme structures, any of it, so I'm having to learn everything as I go. But that's, I think, part and parcel of being a developer. I'm going to look for first I just want to determine if I'm in the right place, if I'm in the right project. What could I use? And I can't open too much of the WP administration interface here on stream, just to be cautious. So let's see if I look at inspect. See if I can find a string. Something on the body class. Okay. Let me read this README one more time because maybe it'll just tell me right away. This is the theme used on CreativeCommons.org. How it is used needs to be researched and documented. Great. That's what I'm basically doing. So I'm going to need to look at the taxonomy. I believe the taxonomy, a good place to define that at least, is in the www plugin. Now let's check the WordPress docs. For some keywords I can search for. Here we go, second link is WordPress custom. Yeah, and I recommend to put them in plugins. So, new page, those category. Creating a new plugin. So there's that, and we've got our plugin. Let's see if there's some tabs I can close real quick. This is Shaylee's work. This is the theme, which I'll leave. It could be, we might switch. Well, this is old. We'll end up probably archiving this and using Git submodules, but okay. And this is one strange thing I think we're going to get away from, having the source code for our plugins and rendered output in version control. And also, we're not going to patch code. I think we're going to get away from that. Those are some, it leave us a little bit stranded sometimes when we apply patches and keep dependencies under our revision control. We want to do a more conventional approach of using the WordPress plugin manager. So I don't think that's the right one. Taxonomies, CC taxonomies. Very cool. Looks like we're in the right place. Highlight. All right. So this is the taxonomy. It's not the one I'm after, but this is the keyword I'm looking for. So I can do this. See all the places we've registered a taxonomy in the organization and code. CC highlight, team group. Hey, here we go. WP theme, CC chapter. Okay, it's close, not quite. SOTC year. State of the Commons. Yeah, okay. State of the Commons, that's a different project. All right, 2016 State of the Commons. State of the Commons chapters. CC highlight. New WW CC highlight. Resource platform. Author group taxonomy. This might be it. All right, just gonna continue though. 2016, State of the Commons, chapters, business toolkit, chapters. I believe I found it. Just keeping an eye over here on chat in case anyone joins the Hangout. Office hours. All right, so it's got to be this one registers the group taxonomy for users. That's exactly it. All right, I'm going to create a permanent link here. And this is going to require some changes to our project. Now we're going to need to import this plugin essentially, or duplicate the code, one of the two. I'll have to see. I don't want to just create, oh, come on. I need to create an arbitrary code duplication messes. This is under new www. Define user groups. So I don't know which one should be capital. Singular, but it's plural, you can add. Let's see here how that renders. Well, okay. So it's not going to give me a little preview. I'll just go ahead and change it to a link. Bingo, got it. Update. Now we need to find out how to include that in the project and how to query against it. Oh, nice, as well as the this is a long comment, but this is framing the work more or less. Add a groups link, doesn't it? Great, save myself some time. Okay, it's laying out the whole thing, so we're probably just going to inherit this www plugin for the time being as a Git submodule. Time being 2 words, I suppose. Thought it was 1 word. Time being sub module. And I was going to add that link here. Excellent. One other question is, how do we query based on the taxonomy? Querying not just the taxonomy items, but the tagged items. WP user query. And these args, this is really a frustrating thing I've come into with the WordPress documentation. It may not be the case here, but args is usually left undocumented. So roll. Now my intuition would be to use the WordPress roles instead of custom taxonomy. I don't want to rock the boat though. So if there's a way to use the taxonomy in a WP user query. How do we? So the WP query, user query, WP is all capitalized. Dictionary or an array. And Shaylee's working in parallel on that. All right, I might find the answer. I'm just putting it out there. All right, so these params are some args examples, very good. But we could approach this from the other angle. It might be possible, rather than querying the users, WP user query, there could be a taxonomy, an approach to take taxonomy and get the results. So in case we know we're in the right location, close some of this out. Put that open there. Just try to keep things simple. So it's getting the terms, but I want to get items. could be that the user query takes this taxonomy query. Oh, where did it go? Tax query array as part of ours. Yeah, I think this is good. I got it prepared, a little more preparation off stream, but I'm going to go ahead and hang the task up for a moment here. Come back to it. So we'll do a recap. Welcome to the recap of today's Creative Commons open source office hours. We're hanging out on codebuddies.org. Today I've been working on a task relating to the creativecommons.org redesign. We have a page that displays our team members, and we want to, as much as possible, build that page with Gutenberg. So we want to create a Gutenberg block that renders team members who have been categorized as staff or the board of directors, for example. I can show the mock-up for this real quick. I'll just reopen this. Well, anyway. So it should look something like this. Our team has some title and brief paragraph text, and then a grid of team members, each with their photo, name, and some other biographical information, as well as boards. So these are actually part of a taxonomy, a custom taxonomy. In today's work, instead of user roles, my initial instinct was that they would be user roles. So my task has been so far to figure out how we're categorizing users and then how to get the query of users, and it'll converge with work that's being done in parallel over here. We're going to make this custom Gutenberg block. So for now, we're focusing on getting a hello world block that displays a message, and furthermore, we'll be then, Shaylee is working on this task to get a query of content, in particular user content, and the users who have been tagged via various category taxonomies, user group taxonomies. On the WordPress side of things, we have it's been a little bit of a discovery process, but there's a custom on our creativecommons.org deployment. There's a custom menu item under the users section of the WordPress admin dashboard. So we got user groups, and the groups displays custom taxonomy terms, turns out. And then there's on the user profile form groups edit widget that you can check off multiple groups. Now WordPress also has roles, but we used custom taxonomy here, so for the time being, we're just going to align with that. We needed to find out how it works. Our WP theme creativecommons.org doesn't include that taxonomy by default or the menu items, but today I was able to find the code in a new www plugin project that's been around for a little bit. And it defines the taxonomy and kind of the menus and page structures. So here's our new www plugin and a couple of related files where those are created. I linked into this issue. registering the taxonomy for the group taxonomy for users, and then doing things like adding the menu page and menu items. The remainder of this task will be, I think, clarifying how to run queries against users, WordPress users, and filter the WordPress user by taxonomy. There's a couple of functions for that. I haven't gotten into testing, but there's some hope and promising answers, both in the WordPress documentation as well as on Stack Overflow. So I'm just kind of wrapping up the session today, and tomorrow, or in the next coding session, we'll be taking a closer look at how the WP user query works and to determine whether or not we can add an argument that allows us to filter by a taxonomy term. Okay, well, this has been a CodeBuddies.org live code hangout for the Creative Commons open source community.